Hey there, it's Julie Hutchison here. It's Friday afternoon and we are on day 3 of our 30 days communication fest. I love that start of it. 30 days of communication fest. It's a fest because I went to a festival this weekend. So I'm still on that mode, but it's also a fest because we want to do 30 days of improving our communication, our confidence around communication, and therefore our influence and impact with the people that matter to us. That could be your work colleagues, it could even be your family and your home and your mates, but what we're focusing on really is your work, and how to have more influence and impact, because it will make a massive difference to the results that you get if you are confident and capable of communicating in lots of different ways. So if you're listening to this live, hello, and please do say hello, comment, and that would be brilliant if I could see that you're there. And you can answer any questions you would like to. So, but today, as I said, it's all about 30 days of life. But specifically today, I want to look at how to take the pressure off of when you feel pressurized to know what to say, or to say something clever, or you're thinking, oh my goodness, they're going to think I'm rubbish, or how do I say it? Whether it be in a presentation, or you're just talking to somebody around the table in a meeting, or you are talking one-to-one with somebody. Sometimes, and I hear this a lot with our delegates on our Confident Communicator course, people say, well, I just don't know what to say, so I end up saying nothing and I feel really bad, and then the pressure is too much. So I want us to be able to take the pressure off today. And it's actually easier than you think, because if you think about it, what are we trying to do when we're communicating? We want to get our point across. But the problem is that often we think that in order to get our point across, we need to talk more, or we need to, be incredibly amazing at what we do. But the reality is, the easier way of doing it is just to make sure that somebody wants to listen to us. And you may think that sounds a bit silly, but we can talk and talk and talk and talk. But if nobody's listening, then it doesn't matter what we say, how good we are. Yeah. So the first thing we have to do is to help somebody to want us to listen. So instead of pushing about, oh my God, what am I going to say? Am I going to be really interesting? And all those things, the easiest way to take the pressure off is, instead of that, is to listen. Listen to what the other person is saying, and therefore finding out what's important to them. And so when you know what's important to them and what they're talking about, you then know how to tailor what you want to say, because you can respond to what they are talking about. So what do I mean? Well, if Bob's always moaning about, I don't know, the carpet in the office, for example, then that's something that's important to him, is hearing what he has to say first and not just jumping in like people do, makes that person feel, not that difficult, makes them feel heard. So makes them feel heard. What does that mean? Well, if two people are trying to get their point across, neither one is listening, then neither really feel heard. So often more so is that we talk more, or we try to get a point across more. So still nobody feels heard. But if you stop, take the pressure off yourself and just listen to the other person, you make them feel super special. You make them feel listened to. You make them feel heard. So when you pay attention to the other person, you're not having to say anything. You've taken the pressure off completely. And that person feels great, because it's like, wow, somebody is finally actually listening to me and paying attention to what I have to say and cares about me. So why is that important? Well, the minute that you do this is the minute that somebody then has more respect for you and more like for you, because now we have somebody who cares about me. So I'm like, actually, I care about them. I'm interested in what they've got to say. And naturally then this starts a conversation where somebody reciprocates. There's the power of reciprocation here. If you've given something, you've given your time and your energy and you're listening, and then they go, well, what about you? So rather than you having to present something, might be, I don't know, presenting your elevator pitch in a networking meeting, for example, or something like that, you don't have to present it, because somebody's asking you the question of, oh, what about you? What do you do? Or something like that. So you're not having to pre-prepare. You're just responding to natural, normal, genuine conversation without the pressure of having to present to somebody. And that's super, super important, because once you do that and they are listening to you and you are listening to them, then you don't have to worry anymore about how are you going to get a conversation started, what should you say, because it's a response rather than a one-way traffic. And then you can use it in another way. I probably shouldn't talk about it today, but I feel like I want to. And that is that if you do this to yourself, what I mean is use the same technique for asking yourself, what should I be saying? By saying, well, what question would somebody ask me about this? So rather than thinking I've got to tell something about it, so what question would they ask me? For example, somebody I might say, well, what question would people ask me about communication? They say, well, how do I know what to say? And I can just answer that question. Well, to know what to say, you have to listen. Yeah. So the way that you pick what you're going to say is based on the question that you ask yourself about that other person. So what I'm saying is you either just listen to that person or you go inside your head and ask, what would that person be asking me? What would they be interested in? And then you know what to say. Does that make sense? So maybe I'm talking about cars and I'd be thinking, well, what would Bob be interested in cars? Ah, right, okay. Well, Bob might be interested in what car I've got, something like that. So it's about asking the question, what would they want to know? What's interesting about that? So there's 2 tips there. So take the pressure off yourself and listen, because that is communication. Communication is not just out there. Communication is about the reciprocation of what you have, taking on stuff and helping somebody with what you're going to give back. But it's much more relevant when you do that. It's much more interesting, and that person feels heard. That person feels like you care, and therefore they're going to ask you questions, so you do not have to try. And then remember, do that to yourself as well. What question would people be interested in if I'm going to be talking about this subject? So that is day 3. Take the pressure off. Talk about talk about something once you know what that person is interested in. You find out an awful lot, by the way. You get most of your answers that way, and you've taken the pressure off. You don't have to butt yourself in. You're going to have a normal, natural conversation rather than one of those ones where you're trying to say what you want to say and the other person says what they want to say. So hopefully that's useful to you. If you would like to know more about how to implement some of the communication tips that we're doing, or you want to find out how you can be part of our Confident Communicator course, which is a 12-week program that you can come on as a group program, and we work on your situation, your ability to be confident and have more impact, then please give me a shout and I will give you the details on that one too. We are going to be doing this all the way through September, and so you've got me every day for around 10 minutes giving you one top tip a day, although there was 2 in there today, one top tip a day on communication and stepping up and having impact and influence wherever you want it to be. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you. Yes, I'm going to be doing it tomorrow as well. You take care.